Hi everyone, my name is Daniel Quiroga. I am backend developer at eduNEXT and I have been working in the OpenEDX ecosystem for 3 years now. And today I'm here to talk about microfrontends and how you can get a microfrontend from your local environment to your production environment. So first, let's see what a microfrontend is. So a microfrontend or an MFE is, as its name says, is a small frontend application that can be built independently, can be easy to manage and extend. Rather than have a big front-end application, you can have as many front-ends, micro-frontends you need, and then you can bundle them into a single front-end application. That's a very rough explanation of what a micro-frontend is. So you might wonder, what do micro-frontends mean in the OpenEDX ecosystem? So let's see, when do micro-frontends begin to be part of the OpenEDX ecosystem? Because these days, talking about micro-frontend is not something new or something we just brought here. So back in 2018, the annual OpenEDX conference at the HAC Montreal, Ari Risitano, a senior front-end engineer at the EDX core team, showed us the state of the OpenEDX platform, described us some of the problems, some of the great benefits of splitting out the front-end and the back-end projects, and she introduced to us the very first micro-frontend to the OpenEDX platform, which was the Studio Frontend micro-frontend. And she outlined what will be the future of the OpenEDX frontend and, of course, the future of the MFEs in the OpenEDX environment. So, microfrontends have been around for at least 3 years, and they have resolved many issues, but as any new technology, they have come with some challenges. We have identified 5 major challenges, so now let's take a look at each of them. So first, we have the local challenge, what we call the local challenge. This is very important because all the OpenEDX development process start on your local environment. And you probably also want to test the microfrontend, to share the microfrontend, and see what the microfrontend is capable of before enable it on your production environment. So in order to overcome this challenge, you will need 3 different things. So the first thing you will need is a DevStack environment. So you can launch a plain DevStack installation, no custom changes are required. You can use any version of the OpenEDX platform, starting from Juniper. So you can use Koa release, you can use Lilac release. For this talk, I use Lilac release. And then, of course, you need the microfrontend, so you can use any bread system microfrontends. You may see that some DevStacks comes already with installed microfrontends, so you can use one of them. And if you need to build a custom microfrontend, so you can use a project called frontend template application that will help you building your microfrontend in the right way. So for this talk, I use the frontend account microfrontend to explain all the talk. And finally, you need the frontend build project. This is a very important project in the microfrontend ecosystem because it's in charge of some of the common things between microfrontends, like building your microfrontend, testing your microfrontend, like running a development server for your microfrontend. So this is a very important project in the MFEs, and this is already out the box. You don't need to install anything. All the microfrontends have come with it already. And then finally, the only thing you need is go to your microfrontend folder and run the next commands. First, the npm install that will install all the requirements for your microfrontend. Then you need to run npm start that starts a development server for your microfrontend to serve your microfrontend. And finally, the last step, you need to log into your OpenEDX platform, and then you can go to, in this case, for the frontend account, you can go to a localhost 1997 or the URL for the microfrontend. And there you go, you will be able to see your microfrontend running on your local environment. So now let's talk about the configuration challenge. So configuration challenge is about configuring your microfrontend for different environments. So like your local environment and staging environment or production environment. So all microfrontends comes with its own set of settings that can be easily changed. This is also handled by the frontend build project, and you can change all the settings depending on your requirements. So as you see on your microfrontend project, you have a .env file where contains all the settings for your microfrontend, and there you can change the setting depending on your requirements. So you can change the platform name, the LMS base URL, the cookie name. So all the settings related to your microfrontend. And next, you need to configure the X platform settings, because if you want to integrate your microfrontend with your X platform site, you have to configure on the X platform site, because MFEs are not enabled by default. So there are always three different settings. One is the account microfrontend URL in this case, that is pointing to the URL of the microfrontend, and this is a Django setting that you can go and configure in your desktop.py file. Then we have a setting called Enable Account Microfrontend. This is a setting that you can configure per site, so that means that you can choose on which site you want to enable your microfrontend. And finally, we have a waffle flag called account.related to microfrontend, that it tells to your OpenEDX installation that you want to redirect your users from the platform to your microfrontend page. And yeah, that's all the settings and configuration you need to integrate your microfrontend with your OpenEDX installation. So now let's talk about a very important and high demanded topic on microfrontends. This is the brand and theming challenge. And why is this so important? This is very important because your OpenEDX installation could have just one site, but there are other providers that could have many sites, and you want to change the look and feel for all the sites, or probably some of the sites. So you have to be able to change the look and feel for your microfrontend. So the first step is brand a microfrontend. So this is related to change. This mostly related to change the logos, images on your microfrontend. So in order to accomplish this, you can go to your microfrontend settings and change some settings like the logo URL, the logo trademark URL, the logo Y URL, and the fab icon URL. And if you're working on your desktop environment, you can just restart your development server, and then you will have your branded microfrontend. The next thing you will need is theming a microfrontend, and this is related to changing the colors and probably the font style of the text, and change some position of the objects in your microfrontend. And here we have a very great project that has been recently added to the microfrontend ecosystem called Brand OpenEDX. This project allows us to override the default settings on Paragon to changes with our own custom settings. So this is a very good thing, because we don't have to change the code base of the microfrontend. So we only have to change the code in the brand project. This brand OpenEDX project takes advantage of a module called npm aliases. And if you wonder what an npm alias is, this is just simple. It's a way to tell to npm that you are going to install one package, but you want to reference to another package. So as you may see in the image, we are installing the brand package, but we can reference to another npm package, we can reference to another GitHub repository, or we can even reference to a local package. And then you can go and override all the settings from Paragon. So you can override the variables, you can override the predefined styles, and there you go. You will have a theming microfrontend. The next thing is you can also use the npm alias approach to override the frontend component header and the frontend component footer, that are the microfrontends that render on at the top of your page and at the bottom of your page. So now you have a micro-frontend working on your desktop environment. You have the right settings on your micro-frontend, and you have the brand and theming options you want. So now it's time to talk about the build and deployment challenge. Build means that you want to create the final access for your micro-frontend, and deployment means mostly where you are going to serve those assets to make your micro-frontend work on your production environment. So for this challenge, we have a manual and Beam deployment approach that we can use. And this is a full approach, but it can help you when you can start with micro-frontends. So in order to work on this approach, you have to prepare your micro-frontend for the production environment. And this means that you have to change some settings like the LMS URL to point to your production site, the platform name, and some of the cookies names if you have changed it on your OpenEDX installation on production. And then when you have all the settings in place and pointing to your production environment, you can go to your microfrontend folder and run npm run build. And this command will create all the necessary assets to work on your microfrontend in your production environment. Then you can create an Amazon S3 bucket, or you can use any storage service to serve your assets. And finally, as you may remember, you have to configure some settings in the X platform side. So first, you have to configure the account URL, the URL pointing to your microfrontend. This is a Django settings level. And then you have to configure the site settings, so to know on which site you want to show your microfrontend. And finally, you have to configure the waffle flag to enable or disable your microfrontend on your production environment. And this is the first approach we have. And we have other approaches to build and deploy your microfrontend to your production environment. The mfit deployer is an Ansible role that is available on the configuration repository and allows you to deploy your microfrontend in a URL path instead of a domain path. So you can have something like your LMS URL / account, or instead of having something like account.lms URL. The other thing you have is the tubular scripts. So these are a series of automated scripts you can run to build and deploy your microfrontend in a S3 bucket. And this approach requires some manual work because you have to configure all the environment to run these scripts on your production environment. And finally, there is an ongoing work led by the community to support microfrontends in Tutor. This is via Tutor plugins, and this could help you to build and deploy your microfrontend in Tutor environments. Now we have identified other challenges that you probably face when your microfrontend is already on your production environment. So the first challenge is the enable some CI and CD pipelines. This is related to continuous integration and continuous delivering pipeline. So you want to test your microfrontend, so you want to run the test suites for your microfrontend before it gets to your production environment, and you want to automate the process of deploying your microfrontend to your production environment. So you can use tools like jobs at Jenkins. You can create workflows at GOCD. You can create actions in GitHub, or you can create pipelines at Circle CI. The other challenge you will face is monitoring your MFE. So for this, there is a very important project called Frontend Platform that you can use to monitor your microfrontend. It has already a module connected to New Relic to monitor your microfrontend on your production environment. The next thing is analytics data. So at some point, you want to get some analytics data from your microfrontend. So there is also a module that can help you with this thing and push some events, some analytics events to your OpenEDX installation. So this is using a project called segment.io, and you can use to push those events to your server. And next, you want to internationalize your microfrontend because you are very likely to have an OpenEDX installation that is not only using English, but is also using Spanish or French. So you want to show your microfrontend in other languages. So there is also a module that can help you with this approach. And last but not least, the MFE performance, because at some point you want to check the performance of your microfrontend on your production environment. So you can use a very straightforward tool called Lighthouse that is already on Chromium-based browsers. So it's easy as you go to your Microfrontend page, you open your DevTools interface, you go to the Lighthouse tab and click on the Generate Report button. And when the process ended, you will have some helpful information that can help you to understand how your microfrontend is being performing and behaving on your production environment. So I have been talking about how run your microfrontend in your local environment, how to configure in the right way, how you can add some branding to your microfrontend, how you can add some theming options to your microfrontend, and how you can build and deploy your microfrontend to your production environment. But now it's time to make it happen. So I prepared a live sample on recording all the steps that we have talked about in this talk, and I hope that you don't get bored with that. So now it's time to make it happen. So the first thing is clone your microfrontend project. Then you need to activate your virtual environment and go to your test stack folder and start your development environment. This will take a little bit of time. Then we had to go to our microfrontend folder to run all the commands. And the first command is the npm install that will install all the required dependencies for your microfrontend to work. And this may take longer. Then we can just run npm start, which will start the development server for your microfrontend, and voila, there you go, the microfrontend working on your local environment. Then we had to integrate our microfrontend with your OpenEDX installation. So we set the account microfrontend URL in the desktop.py file. Then we go to the admin page of your desktop environment to configure the other settings. We log in as an admin account, and then we go to the site configuration module to enable the microfrontend on your desired site. So we configure the enable account microfrontend for the localhost site. Then we find the waffle flag module to enable the setting. So we add the account that related to microfrontend setting. We enable for everyone, and we uncheck the bots for the only user admins, and then we restart our development process. To take all the changes that we have done, and then we can go to our platform and check that it's working. So we can go to the account, and there you go, it is rated into the microfrontend on your desktop environment. And now it's time to brand our microfrontend. So for that, we can go to our microfrontend settings and set the logo URL, the logo trademark URL, the fab icon URL with our desired logo image. Then we can just restart the npm server, the development server, and there you go. Now we have our branded MFE. And now it is time to add some theming to our microfrontend. So we need to clone the brand OpenEDX project. We can go back to the frontend app account and use npm aliases to install this this project as an alias for the frontend account Micro-frontend. And then we can just go to override some of the Paragon settings in the variables file. So we override some of the colors. We start again the development server. And then we can go and check if the changes are in place. So there you go. We have changed the colors, some of the colors, the strings of the text colors and the background color. And now we can change the font style. So again, we'll start up development server, and there you go. We have our new font style in the Micro-frontend. And now, when all these things are in place, so we have to prepare our Micro-frontend for the production environment. So we configure things like the LMS, base URL, the logo URL, the token, the cookie name URL, and we run the npm run build that is in charge of creating all the MFE assets. And this process may take longer, and then it will create a text folder with all the required assets. We then create an S3 bucket where we can upload all our assets. So then we check that all our assets are on our bucket. And then, as you remember, we had to configure the OpenEDX platform to work with our Micro-frontend. So we go to the admin page. We already configured the Django admin, the Django setting to point to the bucket that we just created. We log in into the admin page as an admin account. We go to the site configuration. We create a new site configuration for this site, and then we add the enable account Micro-frontend for this site. And then we just have to configure the last setting, the waffle flag. We add the new waffle flag, account that related to Micro-frontend. We enable for everyone. We uncheck the box. We save. We wait a little bit to take all the changes, and then we can go to our OpenEDX platform page to check if the changes have been taken, and we click on the account button, and voila, the platform is related to our Micro-frontend. And now we can just test the Micro-frontend if it's working well. So we change the country for the user. We save the changes, we reload the page, and the changes are working. So now we can just go back to our S platform page, and yeah, that's all. So this is how you can get a Micro-frontend from your local environment to your production environment and face millions of learners around the world. So now let's see the Q&A section.